Muchas gracias. My name is Walter Alomar. I represent the Organization for Culture of Hispanic Origins. The Committee of 24, since 1945, has managed to assist more than 80 former colonies gain their independence, and yet Puerto Rico is not one of them. In fact, the committee's website doesn't even list Puerto Rico as a current colony, which sadly is the very essence of the problem. No one is looking out for my island. We are all right here watching the island be destroyed, and yet we do nothing. We come here year after year after year, and we stand in front of you begging, pleading, demanding that you assist our island gain its independence. Where has it gotten us? From 1990 to 2000, the General Assembly proclaimed this decade to be the International Decade for the Eradication of Colonialism. According to your website, there was an adopted plan of action. I ask you, where was Puerto Rico in that plan? In 2001, the second International Decade for the Eradication of Colonialism was proclaimed, and in 2011, the third decade for the eradication of colonialism. 3 decades, 3. So I ask you, why do we have to continue to show up here year after year to address the issues of colonialism in Puerto Rico? How is my island not even on your radar? What do we have to do to get the help we need? Under Article 73 of the Charter of the United Nations, and I quote, "The administering powers of the non-self-governing territories have the obligation to promote the utmost well-being of inhabitants in these territories, further constructive measures of development, and cooperate with the United Nations and associated international bodies in this endeavor." By direct definition, the administering powers have failed and continue to fail, and the UN and other associated international bodies have failed to hold the administering powers accountable. Right now, at this moment, there are children who are forced to bring their own supplies to classrooms that are so overcrowded they are forced to sit on the floor. There are no teachers to teach in schools that are actually still open. Hundreds of schools have closed. Our children have nowhere to go. Families are bringing their children to orphanages because they have to choose between keeping their children with them and them possibly starving, or having their children torn away but knowing that they are fed. Hospitals are shutting down. Utilities are consistently breaking down. And when the water, gas, electric, etc. actually do work, the rates are so astronomical, no one can afford it. And yet we sit here in this fancy building, in our ivory towers, for yet another year asking for something that none of you have any intention on implementing. I understand that what I'm saying may sound caustic and accusatory, and I apologize for that. I understand that the committee is not responsible for the colonization of my island, and likewise is not able to decolonize it. However, you are our point of contact. You are our link to the people that can decolonize the island and give my people the independence they deserve. So while I understand you are not directly responsible for the island's plight, I cannot but help to express my anger that you appear to be complicit with it based upon the lack of change that I see here year after year. Colonization is a violation of human rights. It's exploitative. It removes people's abilities for self-determination. It robs the people of their national and personal identity. It destroys the economic sustainability of a country. Historically, it is virtually inseparable from racism. It promotes the idea that one culture is inherently superior to another and that the inferior culture needs to be improved. It has and continues to involve genocide. Quite frankly, colonization is extinction. None of this is new information. In fact, the committee wouldn't exist if it didn't know this to be true. Which is why, in the hopes of speeding progress of the decolonization, the General Assembly adopted in 1960 the Declaration on Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and People, known as the Declaration on Decolonization. It stated that all people have the right to self-determination and proclaimed that colonialism should be brought to a speedy and unconditional end. No offense, but I certainly wouldn't call the decolonization process for the island of Puerto Rico as being speedy. Since 1898, my island and my people have suffered. That is over 115 years of racism, genocide, economic collapse, rape, murder, exploitation, and stolen identities. Today, right now, as we speak, Puerto Rico is suffering. It is dying, and that is not an exaggeration. With all due respect, what are you going to do about it? Because I'm doing all I can. My people, my comrades, my fellow activists, we are all doing all we can. It's time for you all to do everything you can. Que viva Puerto Rico libre.